Well, welcome everyone to 74th annual Reese's Senior Bowl. Already looking forward to 75, right, Molly? Next year's going to be fun. But thank you all for coming. We, thanks to Molly, we credentialed over 1,100, almost 1,100 media members, so we broke 1,000 for the first time. So thanks for coming, covering the game, and really highlighting our players, most importantly. Before we get rolling on questions, I did want to thank our full-time office staff. It's a relatively small operation here in Mobile. We have 6 full-time office staff. To pull off an event with 4,000 credentialed people is a heavy lift. And again, with our new coaching format this year, that created a lot of layers of extra logistics and work for everybody. So I'm really proud of the staff this year. Matt Kelly, our director of football operations. Sonia Wakefield, our office manager. This is year 20 for Sonia on our staff, so we're going to honor her at the game on Saturday for year 20. Molly Middleton, our media relations coordinator. Dave Rogers. Dave, you around? Right in front. Director of marketing and branding, Johnny Williams, new to the staff this year, is our lead content creator. He's been awesome on social media this year. And Elizabeth Dupree, who handles all our corporate sponsorships. So wanted to thank them. Excited about this class, excited about this new coaching format. When I got the call over the summer, I was a little taken aback after having 73 years with the full coaching staffs. But the more it sunk in and the more I thought about it through our players' perspective, I think it's a great thing. You know, I think both formats can work. They can both be beneficial. But to have our players be exposed to half the league, and half the league at really the top half of the draft in every round is a great thing. It's a great thing. There's so many great takeaways. I think everyone in the room knows what these players get exposed to during the week in the meeting rooms, field time, the coaching. So there's great takeaways. So rather than 2 teams leaving Mobile, I think it's great that we have 16 this year leaving with really good behind the scenes access to our players. So in terms of this year's roster, excited about it. We're going to start off with the quarterbacks, and that's just, we're not going to have a first-round quarterback. I think it's 7 years. Dave might correct me there, but I think it might be 7 years straight with a first-round quarterback. But really excited about this year's quarterback class. Really, based on our grades, our Senior Bowl grades, and when we do our grade sharing calls around the league in November, this class is all in that 4th, 5th round group, which is where Jalen Hurts was just 3 short years ago, and now pretty awesome to see Jalen in the Super Bowl. And Jalen jumped to the 2nd that year, so I think there's going to be a guy or two that gets into day 2. There's some day 2 guys that went back to school. Bo Nix was the guy that we would have loved to have had in the game. Went back to Oregon, so I think a couple of these guys will ascend, and that's going to be fun watching which guys do. Just excited about this group. We got them in Monday. There's been no injuries yet, so everyone asks how's the week going. Well, they're all here, and nobody's hurt yet, so it's been really good so far. But I'll open it up to questions.
Yeah, real quick, just raise your hand, and Daisy back there will hand you a mic. Hand it back to her when you're ready. Up here. She's right here. She's over here.
Jim, last week during a conference call, Mel Kiper said that this is not a good draft class in general. Do you share that view, or do you think otherwise?
I think otherwise. I think every draft class is a good draft class because you can help your team. You can find players to help your team. It might not be the deepest at some positions, but every draft gives you an opportunity to upgrade your roster. So that's what all these GMs and personnel staffs are down here looking to do. So no, I love Mel, but I disagree with Mel on that.
Right here in the middle.
Good morning. Quick question. In obviously the past several years, you did full coaching staffs. Like last year, you had the Detroit Lions and the New York Jets. So what was the cause for like the new format in regards to the coaching staff this year?
Yeah, that was a call by the league office. Like I said, I was taken off guard a little bit with a call in June, and you just deal with it. We've dealt with a lot in the last 5 years since I've been here. A stadium move, COVID, trying to pull a game off, fully bubbled. So the coaching staff thing, yeah, it's nothing we would have proactively done. But again, it's not just a great opportunity for our players. I think it's great for the coaches too. It's been great having those guys in town. They all got in Saturday. We brought them in early had a big dinner at the Royal Scam here in town across from the Players Hotel, a little fellowship dinner, and it's been really cool to see that group come together, and great opportunity for them, because not only are the eyeballs of, you know, these key decision makers on the players, it's also on those guys. You know, a guy from the league office, Roman Oben, league executive, was down here at the dinner, and he made the comment. He's like, "There's going to be 3, 4, 5 head coaches coming out of this dinner here in the next 4 or 5 years." So it's exciting. So we've embraced it.
Yeah, where do you expect a guy like Hendon Hooker, coming off the injury, but despite the successful season he had, to go in this draft?
The medical part makes it so hard. You know, I think Hendon was a guy for us. We had Hendon like the 4th round coming into the year, and he and Bo Nix were the 2 guys that really broke out of that. It's kind of a clump there in that part of our board, and Hendon and Bo were the 2 guys that broke into day 2. So we'll see. You know, this is kind of a one-off situation. People have asked, you know, he's coming down here, he's not doing anything on the field, and we really stay away from that. You know, the COVID year we did, we had Landon Dickerson, Devontae Smith, guys that had accepted invites and they got hurt in the college football playoff. And because there was nothing else in the pre-draft process that year, I just thought it would be the right thing as a person to let them come down here and get face-to-face with teams. And then the next year, some agents called and were like, "Well, hey, can my guy come and just go through the week and interview?" I'm like, no, that's not how this works. But with interviews and meeting room time being so critical for quarterbacks, and with Hendon being the person he is and the season he had, I mean, let's face it, he was the face of college football for a good chunk of the season. So, and I've gotten to know Hendon a little bit. I met him at the Manning camp. I met him on campus in August when I went up there, and he deserves this opportunity. So he's going to stay in town until Friday. He's been connected with that American team the last couple days, and he's going to be open to you guys a lot. And if you're going to be down here and not practicing, if someone from the media pulls you, just be gracious with your time. And he's excited to be here.
Jim, the scouts and the personnel guys pay so much attention to those live one-on-one reps with the linemen. How much of a moneymaker is that drill for those guys? And do the linemen here, do you think, in general, have a sense that there's a lot of extra eyeballs on those drills?
I think so, Chase. I think so, certainly, because they've seen. The great thing is just the 5 years I've been here in this role, worked really hard at relationships with the guys that have played in the game. So now this year's group was either in high school or they were true freshmen, you know, and then redshirted. And so they've seen like 4 or 5 years of guys in their locker room come here and do well in those drills specifically. I mean, even different than the wide receiver DB one-on-ones is the back-to-back rep factor, and you know, you're gonna get beat. I told these guys in orientation, like, nobody's come down here and pitched a shutout. So you're gonna get beat, and that's what everyone's watching. What's that next rep look like? Can they take the coaching point? Can they bounce back, you know, mentally, resiliency? So yeah, that's my favorite drill of the week. But yeah, a lot of money to be made.
Jim, could you give us top two positions that are pretty deep and talented on your roster?
Yeah, Paul, I would say running back. I've said that the last couple weeks. Running back's a hard position. I think everyone knows most of those good juniors bounce if they have the opportunity after a good junior year. So to get a class with Kenny McIntosh, Tyjae Spears, Roshan Johnson, Chase Brown, that whole list. I hate leaving guys out. From top to bottom, that's a really good list. So I think we had 4,000-yard rushers this year. So you know, I think there's multiple NFL starters in that group. So we'll see. And then a lot of people have talked about the tight end class, and it hurt to lose Dalton Kincaid from Utah. I was really excited to see Kincaid and Musgrave out there together. They would have been on the same squad, but Dalton had a legit injury situation. He was fired up to come here, but I think that tight end group's really strong. And I think Luke Musgrave's a guy that's gonna. People are sleeping on a little bit right now because he barely played this year. But you know, guys that could move up into the first round coming out of the week, I think Luke could be one of those guys.
Hi, Jim. I was just curious your process about like call-ups. For example, like Marte from Sacramento State, how you guys go to like the lower, like the NFL, or not the, I shouldn't say lower, but like the NFLPA Bowl, all
Sure.
those, what your process is scouting them, and how they get the call-up to come here to Mobile.
Yeah, we always have to have a ready list made. The Shrine game moving into our week last year impacted that greatly. You know, usually the guys would call up, we're coming from the Shrine. So I got to give a lot of thanks to Dane Vandernat, who runs the NFLPA game. Dane does an awesome job. He and I work year round together on a lot of stuff, and he gave us access to his DV Sport tape, and we just started digging into the tape last week. So yeah, we pulled up a number of guys from there. I think 4 or 5 guys in the last week. And there was a lot of NFL scouts. I will say we had a lot of guys from the NFL out there that were checking in every day with updates. And if you would have based it off my text from last week, every single player from the PA deserved a chance to play in the Senior Bowl based on their agent's text that we got last week. I think we could have called up the whole PA roster because everyone on the roster had the best week of anyone in Pasadena last week.
Good morning, Jim.
Where are we? Morning.
For years, you guys have been the premier college bowl. It seems the other two now is kind of nipping at your heels, trying to muscle their way in a room. How do you maintain your status as the college bowl now with those guys, with the schedule changes now, they're midweek as opposed to being the week before, you know, so you really don't get the full week to scout them anymore. How do you plan on staying ahead of those guys?
Well, I don't see it that they're nipping at our heels. I think everyone's using social media more smartly, so they're out there more visibly, which we've done. You know, our first year here, we were at 40 million impressions between what Dave does on the Senior Bowl site and my own fledgling Twitter handle that first couple of years. And this year we're over 400 million. So we've used it, and I think they're starting to use it. But I think when you look at the rosters, I mean, the other game got 2 players we invited this year. I'll just say that. So we're going to keep doing what we do, and we've changed things up. We changed things up in recruiting this year because we didn't have the coaching staff. So every year we look to do things better, and we know we need to keep an eye on it every year. But I think there's more of a presence. You know, when we got here 5 years ago, I'd post stuff about Senior Bowl, and I got, snarky response like, hey, like, who cares about your little game? Like comments like that, we don't get that anymore. You know, and the Senior Bowl's been great forever. We've had 181 first-round picks since the year 2000. 181 first-round picks. No other game has 1. So the game's been great forever. Phil Savage did a great job with this game. But the power of social media is strong, and we've used it, and now the other games are stepping their games up. So I think that's what it is, in my opinion.
Jim, right over here, back here in the middle. How's it going? I know it's early on, but what have you learned about Luke Getsy? What kind of stands out about him as a coach?
I can't speak too much to the coaching part. I was in a team meeting last night, but just obviously we know a lot of the same people. But as a person, he can command a room. He does a really good job with those guys. But in terms of like X's and O's coaching, I don't know a lot. But he's been really easy to deal with. He's he and I are on the same page with a lot of things. So when the coaching list came out, there was only supposed to be 1 offensive line coach. And on the first introductory call with the league when we were voting on the staffs, I was like, guys, I don't think we can get through the week with 1 offensive line coach on each team. And really, it didn't happen. Okay, so I lobbied for it. It got shot down. And then the next day, I get a call from Luke, and Luke was like, Jim, I don't know how we're getting through the week with 1 offensive line coach. I'm like, all right, let me make a call. So now that Luke Getsy wants another offensive line coach, we got another offensive line coach. But we see a lot of the things the same. But he's been great. He's been awesome. But I like the coaching part. I can't really speak to.
Hey Jim, so much has changed in college football recently. Transfer portal, NIL. You mentioned sort of briefly agents asking about could guys come and not practice. Do you feel like it's gotten more difficult to get players to commit to participating in this full game, and do you expect that to change going forward?
No, I think it's gotten easier. I think NIL's been a really good thing for us. You look at the numbers, the juniors that are coming out is way down over the last couple of years, and it's a great thing for the players. A lot of guys were jumping in, making bad decisions because they had a tough family situation they had to address. I've seen that for 25 years since I've been doing this. Guys just got to take care of their families and do what they have to do. And if sometimes they have to roll the dice to do it, they have to roll the dice. But it's really not in their best interest. So now some NIL money, even if it's a small amount that can help mom or dad pay the bills. That's a good thing. So I think our numbers, our boards grew, just grown the last couple of years, but no, I think this thing's building on itself. Like I said, I think the teammates have seen their teammates come before them and have success down here and make money, improve their draft stock. So, and they know about the game. They know about the game. One of the greatest pieces of advice I got when I took the job was from an agent friend, and he was like, Jim, you got to take the power away from us. He's like, not enough of the players know about the Senior Bowl. So they'll get the invite, and we've been talking to them since the summertime, and they'll come to us. Well, should I play in this thing? What do I do with this? And that's why the social media part's been so important, because now when they get the invite in November, they're excited about being here. They know all about it. So we kind of, and we've been very interactive with the agent community too. That's been a part of this build, is getting tape, building a football operation, scouting it the right way, so that when they call in the spring and the summer, we can provide them, feedback. And that thing's gotten so expensive for those guys to train these players and everything. So if we can save them money on the front side and help them out in their process, they've helped us out in our process.
Two more questions.
Hey Jim, so I know you posted earlier this morning on your fledgling Twitter account that there were going to be some college football coaches here this morning at practice. What excites you about that, and what kind of led to that decision of them being here?
Well, that's something that's always made the Senior Bowl different. Coaches have always come here for a long time. I think everyone that's been around the game a long time, Chase, and some of the state of Alabama, like the Nick Saban entrance with the police escorts and everything for years. But no, guys, I think social media too. I think that drives it too. Like there was a head coach that texted last night who I didn't put on that tweet today, and he was like, Jim, I was coming down, I can't make it now because they're in the thick of recruiting. But he's like, I'm still sending my guys down there to get pictures and content for social media. They want to do an interview. So that's a big, but I think last year, Molly, what do we have, like 43 head coaches or something like that last year? So yeah, that's always something that's made our game different. It's a lot of fun. It's good for me to be able to see those guys because I don't get out nearly as much as I used to as a scout. I think I went to Tennessee and Jackson State and West Virginia, a handful of schools, Kentucky this year, but I don't get out a lot, so it's good. Those guys come here and I get to see them. Selfishly, it's good. It's fun for me.
Jim, Sunday night you teased us with the DeJuan Jones wingspan. When will the rest of the weigh-in information get released?
It's good. Today. Soon. Oh yeah, Dave's gonna do it probably when we leave here. He didn't want your phone's blowing up, but Dave's got it all on his phone ready to push.